Being a commercial producer starts at the very beginning. You go to readings, you find a property that you're really interested in, you find the actors that could be in that property that you know that you could hire to do that. You foster the project along, you raise money for that project so that you have the opportunity of putting it in front of other people, like investors, to raise the money to actually produce what would be the production. Then you have to hire possibly creatives, sound designers, actors, directors. The best theater producers that I know are the ones that are kind of involved in everything but surround themselves with really good people in all of these departments and oversee everything. It's not an easy job. I mean, sometimes you can work on a project for up to 5 years before it's ever done. You're putting your own money, your own time, your own resources, and your own staff on something before it ever gets done. And a lot of people get very discouraged. They drop properties, and the properties sit for years without ever having been done. You have to love something. You know, you really have to be passionate, and you really have to love something. If you don't love it, if you don't live it, you don't breathe it, you don't smell it, you don't eat it, it's not going to get done. I had a beautiful show on Broadway. Critically, it was not a success, but every theater patron that went to see the show loved the show. So I held steadfast with it, and we'll take the show out on tour, and it will recoup someday, and the investors will get all of their money back. They got a little bit of their money back, but that was Bonnie and Clyde on Broadway. Bonnie and Clyde is a very dangerous show. It's lush and it's rich, and I think seeing something like that on Broadway was a bit different for people. The most disappointing thing about seeing the theater reviews, while our actors pretty much came away unscathed by the reviews, Frank Wildhorn's music in Bonnie and Clyde did not.
The moon looks just right. I'm sure the crowd will...
Yes, it was difficult, especially difficult for the people that were investing in the show. I'm one of the producers on the album. I raised the album money very quickly. It came from our investors, obviously. And I'm very proud of the album. It's beautiful. If you listen to it, I play it all the time in my car, and I absolutely love it.
Living legends, that's what we will be, and that's okay with me.
All the people that invested in Bonnie and Clyde took another chance on me and us to produce another show, Nice Work If You Can Get It, with Matthew Broderick and Kelly O'Hara. And they are making their money back.
Nice work if you can get it, and you can get it if you try.
It's so exciting for me to sit in the audience and watch Nice Work If You Can Get It. And I sit there and I just watch people and they're so happy. And I know they've traveled for an hour or two to get there, and it's, you know, you get into this theater and you get into the seat, and then all of a sudden this awash comes over the audience, and you see all their shoulders drop, and everybody starts laughing, and you see the dancing and the singing. You have to have that passion. You do, and you can't be in this business without it. And if you're in this business for just making money, I don't think you'll get far.
All right, Elders, that was very good indeed. Now make way for the host of the tones. This host will change your life.
Going to the Tony Awards to begin with is it's an out-of-body experience. It was probably a thrilling night only for the fact that it ended with winning a Tony Award, and it doesn't happen that often. And I was nervous, excited, tired, hungry. I had all these things going on, and I told the people sitting next to me, I said, I just want you to know there's the slightest chance that I actually may win one of these, and if I do, I'm going to be jumping over you to get to the stage, because you literally have less than 30 seconds to get to the stage. And let me tell you, as soon as I won that award, they were gone. They were out of my way, and I ran. I don't think there's anything like it. When you get the opportunity to be interviewed and you get the notoriety for something that you've believed in, and I have to say, especially for Clybourne Park, for all the Brits that are watching this as well, Clybourne Park was a wonderful show. It won a lot of awards here as well. I was representing all the people that invest in me. I was investing in all the hard work, and all the readings, and all the money, and all the time, and all the budgets, and looking at numbers, and making sure that it would work and it would click. I think a lot of people were really pulling for me. So, you've got all that on your back and your shoulders, and you're running up to the stage and you're standing there, and if you remember seeing me, my eyes were just darting back and forth, and I was just wide-eyed. And it's an out-of-body experience. It's one of the few I've had, and I hope I get to experience it again. I think that I will. I definitely think that I will. I have the conviction, I have the passion, and I have the fortitude.
Let's look at a day in the life of a Broadway producer. What might that day look like?
Wow.
Every day's different.
Every day's different.
It depends. If you're in pre-production, you're focused on developing the show. You're focused on raising the money. You're focused on as the show's in development, you got to develop a marketing plan, an advertising plan. You have to be talking with your creative team. You have to make sure that your manager is comfortable with where you are budget-wise. I mean, pre-production and production is like the easiest thing to define because you've got a goal in sight. You've got a date that you've got to get to. When you're open, I mean, after we opened Memphis, it was like, I'll never forget this. Randy and I looked at each other and went, oh. We knew how to do that. Now what do we do?
Oh, now we have a whole nother thing. We got to keep the show running.
When you run a regional theater, you're really good at opening shows because you do like 6, 8, 10 of them a year. It's like, oh, I got that open. On to the next. On to the next. But then it was like, oh, we're open. Now what do we do? Now we got to figure out.
Keep it open. Now we got to figure out what to do.
I mean, there's ongoing stuff. The marketing, the advertising is constant. Monitoring the money is usually stabilizes itself after you open. We're at the theater. One of us is at the theater almost every single night because we're still trying to figure out who the audience is. We're watching the show, even though the show is technically frozen. The actors are now starting to get comfortable and just sort of checking that out. Memphis ran for almost 3 years, so then we got into that ongoing recasting and putting the bones of the tour together while we're still maintaining Broadway. I would say with Memphis, because it was our first one, we really had tunnel vision, just Memphis.
That's all we were looking
until we got the national tour open. And then it was like, we got to start thinking about the future. What other projects have we sort of let lay fallow, and what do we want to move on sooner than later?
Yeah, because these days there are other shows that we're also talking about in the course of any given day that we're working on.
So for example, and I don't know, sometimes we laugh about it because at the end of a particularly stressful day, I look at him, I go, now is there any one of our shows that we haven't had to deal with today? So it's like all of a sudden, it's like this project that's 3 years out, all of a sudden the lawyer's calling you about something, and then this which is 8 months out, all of a sudden everything's falling apart, and you've got to look at everybody's schedule because so-and-so got a movie. It's like all that kind of stuff, and at the end of the day, it's like, wow, that was intense. And then the next day, you don't hear from anybody about anything.
Right. So crickets.
Yeah.